Loves, thanks for returning. I hope this video finds you happy and doing well. As you know by the thumbnail, this video is going to be on my top 5 full coverage foundations. So if you're interested, then just keep watching. All right, so I just wanted to pop in here really fast and talk about my top 5 favorite full coverage foundations. All right, so these foundations that I have are full coverage. I do have 1 or 2 that are medium to full coverage. Definitely you can build them up. A lot of times full coverage foundations are just kind of thought to be either cakey or mask-like-ish. Is that a word? I don't know. I've just added it as a word. A lot of times people may run from full coverage foundations, especially if you have mature skin. I'm not really going to go into a lot of tips and tricks on applications and how I think that full coverage foundations would be best applied. I do plan on doing a video on that, but I just really wanted to get into the top 5 that I have, why I like the foundation and how I think it wears and things like that. So the first foundation that I'm going to talk about is by Bobbi Brown, and this is the Skin Foundation. Now, as many of you all know, Bobbi Brown has a very large shade range. If you have a hard time finding your shade, be it light or deep skin tone, definitely check Bobbi Brown's foundation line out. Now, this particular foundation, you can, sheer it out and you can build it up. And what I specifically like about stick foundations when they claim to be buildable is because it's a little bit easier to spot conceal, if you will, with a stick foundation. So after you've applied it, and let's say you have some other problem areas that you want to go over, you can just simply, dot it on and stipple it in as needed. But this particular foundation really wears well on the skin. If you're not a big fan of powders, you can definitely wear this without a powder. I wear this without a powder. Even in summer months, I wear this foundation without a powder. You just don't need to set it, and it really does look skin-like. So if you're really big on getting the most natural look as possible with the foundations that you wear, I would definitely check this one out. And it's pretty much catered to all skin types, which is really good. And this particular foundation has skin correcting pigments, which really aids the foundation into giving you a really natural appearance. This foundation is long wearing, and it's just going to do a really good job at mimicking a healthy skin tone. So this is one of my top 5. All right, so my next one on the list is a NARS foundation, and this is their All Day Luminous Weightless foundation. So anytime I'm looking for a full coverage foundation, I'm going to look for lightweight, weightless, and I know that term is thrown around a lot, with brands and how they describe their foundations, but this particular foundation is oil-free. In fact, it sounds like water that's in here, and you have to really be careful and make sure to shake it up really well because it separates, the water from the product or whatever. But this one provides excellent coverage. So it doesn't have a lot of trash in it, as I like to call it. It doesn't have parabens. It doesn't have sulfates, it doesn't have formaldehyde, it doesn't have mineral oil, it doesn't have fragrance, it doesn't have trichlocarbon, it doesn't have oxybenzone, it doesn't have coal tar, the list goes on and on. This is a really good foundation, and that is another reason why it is amongst my top 5. Really good job of reducing redness, dullness, and discoloration, and I particularly think that upon application, this gives a velvety type of look. It's just really pretty, and it does say luminous, but when you apply it, you don't get that I don't want to say greasy, but you really don't get that luminous type of look. So that's really nothing to be afraid of, in my opinion. And of course, you can always get a sample out of Sephora. Another thing that I like about this foundation is that it does have scarlet spidering root extract, and that's really good if you're concerned about, having a product that is going to reduce discoloration over time and to give you a more even skin tone. And it also has vitamin A, C, and E, which is really good if you are one that just kind of is out in the sun and you want extra protection or antioxidants that are going to help prevent damage from the sun. So this is a really good one. All right, so the next one that I have is Estee Lauder Double Wear Stay in Place foundation. And I think that if you watch any video, this one is going to be featured in it. However, I do have to say that you are going to, if you have mature skin, you are going to need a really excellent skin prep before this one, because in my opinion, this one it can be very drying or tight feeling. So if you really love your full coverage foundation, you don't necessarily have to stay away from this as long as you do the appropriate prep with it. But this one, probably out of all 5, is the most full coverage. It really is pretty. It is on the velvety mattish type of look, but it's the feeling of the foundation that kind of that might not work for a lot of people. All right, so my next one is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. Clinique is a brand that just historically has a lot of good products across the board. They have makeup, skincare, and skincare. I have really pretty much grown up using Clinique skincare, which is really good. But as far as this foundation is concerned, it is going to provide you with full coverage without clogging your pores. This is another brand that doesn't have a lot of trash in it, or I just like to call it trash. It's free of sulfates, phthalates. It doesn't have any parabens, which is really good in my opinion. And this foundation features 3 particular ingredients that are really going to help you retain moisture in your skin. And those ingredients would be sodium hyaluronate and lecithin. And I hope I didn't butcher those too much. So just do know, if you are looking for a foundation that is going to help you retain moisture and just not dry out your skin, as well as give you some full coverage without clogging your pores, this one would really be good. Also, another thing that I like about this foundation is that it has like it has a little doe foot, and I think that that's excellent for building up coverage in spots instead of just kind of applying the foundation all over. So this one is definitely in my top 5. And my last but certainly not least is my NARS Natural Radiant Foundation. Really, really beautiful. Again, with this NARS and the names and things like that, it doesn't really come across as radiant. It's not matte, so I would say it's somewhere between like a satin finish. This foundation does not have a lot of trash in it as well. So you're not going to get the sulfates, the parabens, the formaldehyde, the coal tar, just things like that. This foundation is gluten as well, because I know that there are some folks out there that have to be careful with gluten that is in some of these products. So it really does have a very large shade range of 33 shades, which is really good in my opinion. And what's really nice about this foundation and the good ingredients is that it has a blend of fruit extracts that are going to help support the skin's elastic fibers to smooth the texture over time. And that blend would be of raspberry, watermelon, and apple. So that's another reason why this has made it into my top 5. Again, I always try to look at ingredients, and since texture around this area on me is an issue, I typically kind of gravitate towards those type of foundations. And this one has a natural finish, and it claims to be for all skin types. A very, very beautiful foundation. So that's pretty much it. Those are my top 5 full coverage foundations. So let me know, what are some of your favorite full coverage foundations? But I also have another question. Let me know some of your favorite full coverage foundations and the ingredients that you particularly appreciate that full coverage foundation has. Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until my next video, smooches.